Hello, AFKalmighty here. I know it's been a long time since I uploaded anything, and I'm behind the schedule with a couple of important issues, so I'll do my best to catch up as quickly as possible. For this video, I will be discussing my thoughts on the current status of Valkyrie's awakened weapon, the Lancia. The simple version is that she's okay. She doesn't have the insane damage output of rangers or tamers. Her mobility, although improved, is still crap. She's not a pro monster exterminator like the giant, and she certainly cannot run into an enemy group, spam some super armor skills, then pull out like the warrior can. Yet, the Lancia does improve her on most aspects, especially damage output. Her ultimate is still powerful even after the nerf, and the occasional heals and wave of light, which is her skill that sucks in enemies into one spot, is always a nice asset to have on your team. Now, I may have said that her damage output isn't as insane as rangers or tamers, but she still ranks high in damage output among awakened weapons. That is, assuming that she's allowed to perform her clunky attacks. Valkyrie's Lancia suffers from the same problem her sword and shield did. Her attacks are too slow, and it makes it so easy for her opponents to counter her. Several of her skills have guard or super armor statuses on them to address this problem, but enemy attacks are constantly breaking through her guard and super armor for some reason. And at this point, we're not even sure if this is a bug or intended feature, because this game has a history of having countless moments where the developers would leave an aspect of a skill and pretend it was a bug, so that if they later decide to fix it, they can avoid complaints over a buff or a nerf by saying that it's a bug fix. And on top of all this, there's also the fact that it's difficult to aim with her lance in PvP. Her poor mobility, although improved, is still a huge crutch on her PvP performance, and to a bigger extent, PvE performance. But at least she's way better off in PvE compared to Tamer, who is basically still stuck with using her basic weapon for grinding. One puzzling change is that Valkyrie has the privilege of being one of the characters that benefit from damage reduction the most, while using sword and shield, and yet this changes with the Lancia because her damage reduction efficiency plummets while using her awakened weapon. This, along with the fact that her guard and super armor is unreliable for preventing crowd control skills, make it extremely difficult for her to go into the thick of battle and do any damage. This problem isn't so apparent in minor league fights, but becomes a serious issue for those fighting within the top PvP guilds. With all I've said, you might think that the Valkyrie's awakened weapon sucks, but I stand with my original statement that she's okay. Her damage output is sweet if she manages to pull off her combo. Her guard, while using her awakened weapon, can take an unbelievable amount of punishment, so she's ideal in maintaining the front lines before directly engaging the enemy. She can also single-handedly turn the tide of battle with a properly executed Wave of Light and Black Spirit ultimate combo. So even with my poor gear, I've had my moments in the Crimson battlefield. To sum things up, the Valkyrie's lance is in a nice spot as long as they eventually fix some of her obvious glitches. She's neither underpowered nor overpowered, and has clear strengths and weaknesses, while having her own set of unique skills to bring to the battlefield. For those who enjoy the sword and shield of Valkyrie, you're in luck because her style doesn't change much opposed to Warrior, who completely changes style between basic weapon and awakened weapon. I hope this answers most of your questions you have on the status of Valkyrie's awakened weapon, and look forward to seeing you on my next video. See ya!